G'day everyone, welcome back to another video of the good, bad and ugly. In this video today we're going to be unpacking and reviewing round 17 of the 2023 AFL season. Now apologies for not getting a video of this out the previous week, as I was actually up at the coast seeing a bit of family, so didn't have time to upload this video, but now back home with a good round of footy past us. I will now get back into the swing of things. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'll be much appreciated, and let's get into it. Okay, so normally with these types of videos, I just go through 3 goods, 3 bads, and 3 uglies, but I just feel what I have been doing through the buy-ins has just been going game by game. I probably prefer that sort of format, as I'm able to review each game and get a variety of the content out throughout the round. So I might start doing that from now on. I think that's probably going to increase the quality and sort of the variety of the videos. So yeah, of course, the first game we did have Thursday night, the Tigers with a much-needed win. Pretty much elimination final. This was over the Swans by 13 points. It was always going to be massive ramifications for whoever lost this game, and it was the Swans on the receiving end of another really disappointing loss. And gee, has their season been really poor. They always seem to start halves of footy quite well, but maybe it's just the mental side of things this year that is really hurting them. Every single time when a game's in the balance this year, they just always seem to lose momentum way too easily, and they struggle to get that back. And we saw in the second half. First half they looked pretty good. The goal kicking was better from last week, but they just continue with the inconsistencies around the ball, and in the contest they got smacked instead of bounces. They were struggling to get the ball out of their defensive half, and they're pretty much generating goals out of very spawny and very small amount of chances to keep in the game. The Tigers kept them in the game with their inaccurate goal kicking, but another disappointing game it was, and that is now probably curtains on their season for 2023. Really poor and inconsistent year it has been from the Swans. Whilst on the other side of the coin, the Tigers, well, it was a fantastic second half from them. Their brand to win that game of footy was very strong, because this was a pretty 50-50 game at halftime. It was hard to see who could win this game, but yeah, the Tigers, their pressure and their style, the Richmond sort of style, the turnover game was really strong. They were dominant in the centre bounces. I felt they were able to, really take control in the clearance game when we saw guns in the second half, like 𝐼𝐴 he was so strong at ground level, able to get the ball forward. Jack Graham, the clutch goals. Dusty Martin, I knew was a huge in for them, because he's been huge on the scoreboard and influence when going forward for the Tigers. And I felt defensively they did really stand up too as a back six. Vlosten was really strong. He swung forward even, had that great mark kick, that awesome goal too. So yeah, just overall really strong performance. Just a game they wanted more. Their brand was really strong. Their pressure was great, and they were really strong in the midfield and around the ball. So a huge win for the Tigers to keep their season alive. We then move on to Friday night's game, where the 𝐼𝐴𝐿𝐼𝐻𝑡𝐿 got a pretty comfortable win. Even though it was only 12 points, they probably should have won this game by more, given there was a few junk time goals from the Bulldogs to try and keep the game alive. But the damage was done in that third term from the Magpies. They started the game off slow, the Doggies kicking the first few of the game. The Doggies, going inside 50, were able to pick some nice options when going in that area off the turnover, because the Magpies obviously do like to overcommit, and when you can get that ball over the back, that's where you can hurt them. But Collingwood are just strong in so many areas. They were able to adjust quickly. They were pretty strong around the ball, but again, it was just their ball movement. That's where they probably played their best footy. When they do get, when they just exit a stoppage, they are so quick, and their ability to spread is very fast. They get the quick hands out, and they just get forward. The chemistry and the cohesion going forward is so strong as well. Nick Daicos in that third term was sensational. Kicked the 2 goals. He was awesome. 𝐷𝐿𝐼 back in. He was really strong getting those clearances. But for me, where it really won the game also for the Pies was just how strong their defence was. Apart from getting probably torn apart from 𝘼𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿, could have probably kicked 5 goals. He was so strong marking inside 50. They had some rocks back there. Jeremy Howe, I thought, played a decent game, but 𝗵𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐻𝐿 was superb. His one-on-one ability this year has been fantastic. He had around 10 intercept marks. So strong in the year. He's been really reliable this year. Thought he had one of his best career games. No ball cross half-back. He just continues to rack it up, and his rebound ability is very strong too. Pendlebury, of course, breaking the record. Great moment to see. Congrats to him. He also had a pretty strong game, and he's been ultra consistent this year, Pendles. Could maybe be in their top 5 for the best and fairest at the end of the season. But all in all, another really strong win from the Pies. And then, on the Bulldogs side of things, well, started the game off strong, and the damage was done in that third term. Again, they just have those troubles to defend ball movement. Defending transition is always one of their weaknesses, and they pretty much just got tore apart by that. A lot onslaught of goals they did concede in a row. They always have the tendency to do that, and I felt they had a few damaging moments inside 50, but I think it's just their defending ball movement really did hurt them, and probably could have lost this game by more if they didn't kick those junk time goals. Next game up, Saturday afternoon, the Lions with a huge 81-point win over the Eagles, 16 goals, 21-16 to 5 goals, 5-35. It wasn't obviously an ideal performance from West Coast. It was certainly better than what people expected, but still really awful. It was just another same old performance where just a lack of effort through a lot of senior players, I felt. Now a few shining lights like the likes of Brady Hoff back there. Of course, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐿𝐿 looked really strong in the midfield. He had a great start of the game. I guess also Oscar Allen kicked a goal, so his goal every single round streak does continue. Tom Barrass in the air thought he played okay, but yeah, just as a whole team, it was another really poor result in the end. But we all know the Lions are just clearly the better team. They were very strong again in their forward half. They were great in the midfield, and yeah, that's just where they're going to be damaging, I feel, this year, the Lions. If they want to go far, it has to be, their turnover game and also just their forward half use, because I feel like they're one of the most dangerous teams in the comp when they get their ball movement going inside 50. It was really strong again today. Harris Andrews continues to be a rock back there. Ashcroft, really strong game from him with the absence of Dunkley. Neil, really strong too in that midfield on top of that as well. But it was great to see Jack Gunston return to really good form and return into the side after a strong 2 months of just training, after he said himself he wasn't good enough, and he came out, kicked a bag with 6 goals. McCluggage playing a bit of forward, really awesome too. Just as a whole, the Lions a really strong win to get a bit of percentage booster heading into the back half of the season. Next game up, we've got the Giants getting the win over the Hawks by 13 points, and this was actually quite an entertaining game to watch. This was a competitive and gallant effort from the Hawks, but yeah, the Giants just too good in multiple areas to get the win. But has to be said from the Hawks first, I thought their competitiveness and their hunger to try and get the win was really strong, so I don't feel like there's, obviously there is disappointment for dropping the game, but given the scenarios and circumstances they are in with the young and inexperienced side they do have, I felt it was, a loss, a healthy loss, that they can hold up their heads high. But yeah, they just really lacked a bit of execution under pressure. And when the moments matter, I feel like their skill execution can really hurt them, given the reason why they have been on the wrong end of a few close results, I feel, this year. But yeah, their midfield looked pretty strong. I feel like in centre bounces and around the ball and, in the stoppage too, they really beat up the Giants well. And this is a bit of a concern from the Giants because I feel like they have been getting beat in contested possessions and also centre bounces and stoppages a few too many times as of late. But in the end, the Giants were too good just because of their ball movement. I think as of late, it's been really strong. Their transition game's been really entertaining to watch. They've been a strong team off the turnover as well. They've been very competitive as well. When going forward, they can have the occasion of bombing it long, but usually, I think, as of late, they've been much better of blowing their eyes, picking out their targets. Led, of course, through Stephen Coniglio. I thought he had a superb game, but for me, where it also did really win the game was their defence was so strong. Sam Taylor did a superb job on Mitch Lewis. Jack Buckley, again, with a really impressive performance. Yeah, as a back six, I feel like they, individual-wise, there have been some really strong performances, but yeah, Sam Taylor's just a beast in the air, intercepting and rebounding. I feel like Riccardi and Hogan have been inconsistent, but when they're on, they have been showing some really strong performances. 3 goals for Riccardi, 4 for Hogan, and yes, Coniglio also popping home with 3. So yeah, a win they'll take, the Giants, but there has to be said, I thought the Hawks were pretty gallant in defeat. They were very competitive, but yeah, their ball movement really got the job done for the Giants, and they are now 4 wins in a row, the first time I think since 2018. So yeah, they've been in some superb form. Next game here, we have the Demons get a much-needed win over the Saints by 21 points. Saints, pretty competitive, pretty plucky, and honestly, I think if you're a Saints fan, you probably, I don't know the word, but you probably feel better about that loss over that win you did have last week over the Eagles. I felt it was a strong performance in a loss, but yeah, when the moments mattered, the Saints were pretty poor with ball movement. This has been their weaknesses when they've been on the wrong end of results there. Probably struggled to score, and their method and cohesion when going forward has been quite predictable and just bombing it in long. Of course, the injuries they did have early on, Zane Cordy going down, Ross going down, Max King, the big one, going down, which probably allowed Stephen May to have a superb game in the air. He was dominant, but yeah, it still is the same old when going forward. That's probably where it did really hurt them, as yeah, the Demons just finally had a game where they were able to kick accurately. I think it was their first time in a while they kicked over 8 goals this season, but we saw without Bailey Fritsch, without 𝐓𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 𝐿𝐿𝐿 now omitted from the side, we saw Ben Brown return to the team. He had a really strong output, and Petrarca, playing mostly 4 for the game, really seemed to help when going inside 50. He was able to kick home 4 goals. Even Melksham thrown forward as well, slotting home 2. And yeah, Sparrow kicked 2 goals as well. He's always been a bit of an underrated youngster, I feel, for the D, so he was a huge part in their win. But yeah, I think it probably speaks more volumes about the Saints, because I felt like they had a lot of moments throughout this game when they were peppering the Demons inside 50, but it was just the same old. It was coming back out way too easily. But yeah, it was a, you know, I feel like another one of those losses where the Saints fans can hold their heads up high. You know, Jack Steele was superb, probably his best game of the year, kicking a goal and 31 touches, 12 tackles. Is he back at his best? Rowan Marshall, have to give him credit, was just superb up against Gordon Grundy, pretty much carrying the heavy load in the ruck position, where he was just taking marks everywhere around the ground. He was really strong too. But yeah, the Demons, probably just their class, and they're very good with supplying the ball in there. But yeah, they're finally able to execute, and yeah, got a much needed win. And then the other Saturday night game, we had the Port Adelaide Power get a pretty typical win over the Gold Coast Suns. They always seem to have these sort of wins, Port Adelaide. It's just always during the second or third term, they just have an ability to flick a switch and then go bang, kick on an onslaught of goals out of 9-goal, pretty sure 9-goal third quarter to get a huge win. Probably not necessarily huge. I felt like the Suns were good enough to keep this under 40 points, but we all knew Port Adelaide were pretty much, the damage was done in the third term. Again, we just saw some superstars in there. You know, Connor Rozee for me was probably one of the best on ground with 2 goals and 28 touches. Just continues his season of, you know, clean ability. But as just said before, it is a difference maker with this Port Adelaide side, and probably just good teams in general. They have a really strong ability to adjust accordingly throughout games and really execute well. And for me, that's through their ball movement. They have probably one of the best ball moving sides in the competition. Their pressure is really strong in their third term. They're able to force turnovers, and then their ability to spread forward, get the ball forward well. It's a very exciting team to watch. Port Adelaide, you know, was another strong performance from Charlie Dixon, from their key forwards, getting enough output out of those particular players. But yeah, the Suns, it was just another one of those disappointing games. They're a very strong side in the clearance and around the ball. They started the game strong as well. You know, 𝐓𝐴𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴 had a great game. I felt kicked, I think, 4 goals. Max King even subbed just because things weren't working, because 𝐴𝐻𝐿𝐴 was playing out well. But then again, when the moments matter, defense struggles. Their ball skills really do fall, you know, really off par and subpar. And yeah, then again, you know, they just get pressured, and it was just another poor second half from the Suns. They've been doing this the past few weeks or so, but yeah, Port Adelaide way too strong. They just continue to show they are one of the teams to beat this year, with a strong win at home by around 5 or 6 odd goals, 33 points. Now for the Sunday games, first one we had here, the Geelong Cats getting a pretty typical win by around 10 goals so over North Melbourne, 62-point margin it was in the end. And yeah, it's just another, you know, pretty typical Cats performance that we've seen over the past few years or so. Very strong side at home. You know, their class when going inside 50 was really on show. They dominated the ball, they kept the ball in their forward half so extremely well. North was struggling to get it out of there. And it's just another typical North Melbourne performance where just a lot of their senior players really struggled. Their ball skills were very ordinary, but yeah, the class of the Cats were just too good in the end. You know, Brian Myers continues to show his All-Australian sort of caliber year, and he was working extremely well high up the ground. He had 32 touches, 11 marks. He's just been superb, I think. A really underrated player in their forward line, especially, you know, Brad Close as well, kicking 3 goals. Stengel was busy, 5 goals for him too. Tom Hawkins had 3 goals. You know, Mitch Duncan was busy in their forward line too. They just have so many players in their forward half, the Cats, where they can contribute towards the scoreboard. Even Ollie Henry too. He's actually putting together a really good season. I think he has over 25 goals. So, you know, people can make their thoughts on Ollie Henry, but he's been really strong this year, and it was another really good game from him with 4 goals. And yeah, in defence, thought 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴 had some nice intercept marks. Stewart was doing his, you know, usual stuff back there. Just a complete team performance from the Cats. It was another one of those 2022 sort of performances where everyone just played their part. Role plays were superb, and yeah, for the Roos, yeah, started okay, but yeah, really struggled to get the ball pretty much forward most times. You know, 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴 was pretty good, 28 and 2 goals. Larky continuing his potential All-Australian case of 2 goals. But yeah, for me, the Cats were just too strong. A very strong side at home. A much needed win to push themselves into the top 8. Then the next Sunday game we did have was the Dons with a much needed win over the Adelaide Crows by 18 points. Kicked an absolute bag on them, and they are just continuing to prove their case that they are a finals worthy side this year. They play a finals brand, simple as that. They pretty much out-pressured the Crows. They forced a lot of turnovers. When the ball's at ground level, they just arrive in packs, and they're such a competitive and hungry side. They want to win that ball. They want to get it forward. And I feel like when going forward, the cohesion is really strong. You've got Kyle Langford there, which is an underrated target this year. He continues to pile on goals. Of course, Jake Stringer and Peter Wright back from injury. They had really good pressure plays down at ground level there as well when going inside 50. When that ball's at ground level, they have accountable plays, and they have plays that can win that footy. Zach Merritt is, for me, is in my All-Australian side. He continues to impress. Parish back in the team, the accumulator. Slater, he was very strong as well. Nick Martin along the wings, going forward, pushing forward as an option inside 50, kicking goals. He's been awesome this year. They just have a lot of accountable players. They work so well. The chemistry is strong. And that third term, they just lock the ball in their forward half. They look like a team with high chemistry at the moment. Their chemistry, when distributing the ball, when moving the ball, is so strong. And when they go inside 50, they just make it work. They either win the ball at ground level or they find options with really good marks inside 50. They dominate that statistic over the Crows. They played a strong brand. For me, they are a very good chance to win a finals game this year. So the Crows throughout this season, they usually are playing that finals brand as well, but something is with them interstate. They just look a shell of themselves and probably should have lost this game by more, let's be honest. The Bombers really did dominate this game. But yeah, they just kept on answering back with a few plucky goals, the Crows. But yeah, really disappointing. I felt where it did really hurt them was just because at the expense of the Dons' pressure, they were unable to move the ball well. They were unable to really, gain possession and retain possession for long enough to try and, gain some momentum in towards the game. They were pretty much second best with everything. I feel like games this year, their midfield keen struggled a little bit, and was another game they did lose in the contested possession count. Their defence was just under heavy duress throughout the majority of that game, let's be honest. Max Michelani pretty much matched up on Kyle Langford. Felt like Sloan had a bit too many turnovers. Yeah, the defence just really struggled, I felt, that game. But yeah, the Dons were too good. They just are playing such a strong brand at the moment. And for the final game of the round, we did see the Blues with a huge win over the Fremantle Dockers by 53 points. They've been in superb form as of late, the Blues. That is now the third or fourth game in a row they've won by over 40 points, and they're just making it look easy as of late. Are in some great form, and it's never easy to knock off the Dockers at home, but they did do it in great style. And I feel like as of late, their midfield is really now starting to turn up. They're starting to play with a bit more confidence, a little bit more dare with rebounding off half-back. Adam Cerra and Sam Walsh, Paddy Cripps, Sam Doherty playing a bit more in the wing, Matthew Kennedy, before he did get injured. We're just so strong in the midfield. It's just another one of those games from the Dockers where they just get pummeled around the ball in that midfield. Able to, when they do win clearance, I felt like they were very good going forward. 𝐼𝐿𝐼𝐿 and 𝐼𝐻𝐾𝐬 again doing the business. Thought they were really strong. But yeah, just in every department, I felt like the Blues are really, really good. Ball movement's great, playing with more confidence. Can they now translate that into more wins? Because they're sitting in a decent spot now with good percentage around the mark with 30 points. They are probably now back in the race, so can they continue that form? But yeah, gee, the Dockers were poor, really, really poor. I felt they were pretty weak in the midfield. Apart from Shaun Dux taking a few plucks around the ground, they just really struggled in the air. Yeah, Luke Ryan was okay too, but defensively they were really poor. Alex Pearce, what's with him as of late? He always seems to have a good game, then an absolutely poor game. He was really weak on his direct matchup, and when the ball went inside 50, they just really struggled to get it out there. And yeah, struggled to really move the ball with there. It felt like they really struggled with, adjusting towards the game. They had no adjustments at halftime, which was the same one we saw all game. Second rate around the ball, getting pummeled in the midfield, let's just be honest, really, and struggled to move the ball end to end with any sort of conviction and, consistency. So it's just such a poor result from the Dockers. They always have these games where they look really strong, and when they are games against their grain, they just seem to play such a poor game of footy. So they've been struggling with that for this year, their inability to adjust mid-game, the Blues just pretty much knocked them out of the park. A much-needed win for the Blue Buggers as they are now back in the finals mix. So everyone, there was another episode of the Good, Bad and Ugly for round 17 of the 2023 AFL season. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you wanted to enjoy, and comment down below if you prefer me doing this sort of format, doing a game-by-game review instead of just a 9 Good, Bad and Uglies. I feel like this is probably a better way of doing things. Once again, everyone, as I do say, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to enjoy, and until next time, I'll talk to you later. See you later, fellas.